All right, welcome back, True Seeker. The big news story is Jesuit educated Andrew Cuomo, the 56th governor of New York who attended Fordham like Trump. He's under fire because supposedly they didn't come all the way out with all the deaths in the nursing homes from COVID-19. And keep in mind, in the year of all these COVID-19 deaths, the flu and cold no longer exist, nor does pneumonia, just everything's COVID. And don't take that from me, take it from the news, because there's all sorts of headlines about how the flu just doesn't exist anymore. And talk to any pharmacist, they'll tell you they're no longer selling Theraflu, something they normally can't keep in stock in flu season. But anyway, on February 11th, this news broke, 2/11, and the focus of the story is on how Cuomo's secretary, Melissa DeRosa, spoke out and said that they froze the numbers because they were worried about getting in trouble by the feds for how many deaths in the nursing homes came from COVID-19. And remember, Trump declared a national emergency because of the few deaths at the time in Seattle in a nursing home. When 80-year-olds start dropping dead in nursing homes, obviously things are amiss, right? Like this doesn't go on every single day. Again, sending your elderly to the nursing home is a death sentence in a lot of cases. My grandma lived for a long time. She didn't survive 1 month in a nursing home. Anyhow, just notice how the name of the secretary, Melissa DeRosa, sums to 211 in gematria, and here I have been educating for over 7 years straight, every single day, literally every single day, that's a fact, about how every news story is contrived this way in the mainstream. Every big news story is contrived this way every single day. Yes, that is a fact. Anyone can prove it. To try and disprove it, you'd have to go back and debunk the last 7.5 years of what I've put out. Not to mention I called everything that's happened in the news before it's happened as well, including why 2020 was going to be a really fucked up year, coming 19 years after 9/11, which was the biggest lie ever told until, well, what we're living out now. But anyway, Melissa DeRosa, 211. Now let's look at how it lines up with the old Jesuit, Andrew Cuomo. Not to be confused with his douchebag brother on CNN. But from his birthday to the day this news broke was 67 days later. Or you could also say his 68th day of his age. And we've talked about this from the beginning. Cuomo equals 67 forward, 68 in reverse, just like the word Wuhan. Wuhan coronavirus. Remember the Wuhan coronavirus? Coincidentally, the outbreak happened in Wuhan 1 month after the Event 201 coronavirus outbreak simulation on the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China, which was October 18th, 2019. And all these things were put on by Jesuits. Okay, just like how Anthony Fauci, the Jesuit, said there'd be a surprise outbreak and pandemic in the time of Donald Trump. But notice, 67 days after his birthday, or his 68th day of his age, Cuomo 67, 68. From the day the pandemic was declared March 11th, 2020, to this story on February 11th, this big soap opera drama was 337 days later, which is the 68th prime number. And again, chapter 2 of my book, Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus, chapter 2 is about how in 1968 all these agendas went into motion, including coronavirus. That's what year coronavirus was coined, in 68, the year the Club of Rome was founded. And again, who did the Jesuits serve? The Roman Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, who the Cuomos are a part of. And they're also Jesuit educated. So you just got to say, okay, what are the odds? On his 68th day of his age, 337 days after the pandemic's declared the 68th prime. And just notice how Cuomo and Wuhan are the exact same in all four base ciphers. And if you're new here, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Chapter 1 of the book teaches you gematria, how the four base ciphers are the system, and it's undeniable, and how if you apply this system to history, you can see through pretty much everything. You can see that history is nothing but a contrived story full of bullshit, just like 9/11's in history books now. Someday, well, this is probably already in some history books they're putting in classrooms. Or e-classrooms, since everyone, for the most part, is trapped at home, afraid of the renamed cold and flu. Anyway, 1968... so many agendas went into motion that year. Big number with the CIA. Don't forget George W. Bush, who's the son of the former CIA director, Vice President and President George Herbert Walker Bush. Don't forget, he graduated from Skull and Bones in 1968, and every year from his birthday on July 6th to September 11th is a span of 68 days. Also, don't forget the word terror equals 68, or that the original definition of terrorism is government by intimidation. As for this happening on February 11th, that's the 42nd day of the year. Governor Cuomo equals 181, which is the 42nd prime. Jesuits got that gematria of 78 and 42, like New York's also 78. Jesuits also 21, like here we are in 2021 in the 21st century. Jesuit 21 and 42, so what a grand day for a big Jesuit ritual. And here he is, Cuomo, the 56th governor of New York. He went to Fordham, which was originally called St. John's College. Fordham's the Jesuit school in New York, where him and Trump went. Trump began his attendance there in 64, 56 years before 2020. But notice, St. John's College, forwards and backwards, is 56 and 70, like COVID vaccine, like coronavirus, like a million more things relating to the virus. Like how Sanjay Gupta got the COVID vaccine on live TV 56 days after his birthday on a 70-date numerology. Kamala Harris did something similar. 70 days after her 56th birthday, she got it. There's been more. But again, Society of Jesus, Washington, D.C., Anthony Fauci, St. John's College, COVID vaccine, coronavirus, and the list goes on. They all equal 56. His douchebag brother on CNN, which is a Jesuit-run news network, which pretty much they all are. Chris Cuomo's 56. Gavin Newsom's 56. He's the governor in California who was the first to lock down his state. And when he locked it down, he said 56% of Californians will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. There's been about a million other 56 rituals. A lot of them are covered in my book. I am writing another book because a whole lot's happened since I put out that book. But again, the patterns are undeniable. The rituals are undeniable. The Jesuit connections are undeniable. It's just a bunch of Jesuits on the TV lying to us every single day, censoring people who call them out and calling the people who know the truth liars and quacks and conspiracy theorists and people who've been debunked when they haven't been. You know, I'm about to lose my 20th channel, and again, how can I be the one that's accused of being a liar and misleader? I've been right about everything. I've called literally everything. I've been dead on about the timeline the whole time I've been here. What to expect in 2020, something I was calling out 5 years in advance because these people work in 19-year cycles, which is why they continue to call it COVID-19, even though it's 2021. And they're telling you all these new strains are out, the UK strains everywhere, that they say is 56% more infectious. You know, that one's been out since 2020. Now, supposedly there's this South African variant that's all over the place, but they're still calling it COVID-19. I suspect at some point this year they do switch it up to COVID-21. Because, again, that's another Jesuit number, but these people work in 19-year cycles. And, by the way, 67 is the 19th prime number, like how this story came 67 days after his birthday or on his 68th day of his age. And, again, I wonder what's wrong with people to continue to deny the work that we put out, the accurate predictions, calling the news, the sports, the elections, everything before it happens, the hurricanes, the storms. We do it all here. Unprecedented. Nobody's ever done anything like it in the world. And you think in the information age, I'd get 1 billion views per day. Literally. I mean, I should get 1 billion views per day. That many people have smartphones, and I guarantee you no one's putting out anything more relevant than I am. So those are just facts. If you can't deal with facts, go listen to some liars. Go back, turn on the propaganda tube. You don't belong here. Till next time.